selfishness expressing in this life will cause the troubles which start the reactions of cause and effect. Therefore, it is the weakness in ourselves that perpetuates the unfinished business of human evolution. Until this is fully understood, we cannot control the situation. But if we do not wish to be burdened by past karma, we must make sure that we have paid the bill when the mistake was made. If we haven't, then we have unfinished business. And that unfinished business is to learn to understand why our own attitudes must inevitably react upon us somewhere, sometime. There's no way of escaping them, but there is a way in the sense of transmuting them. So there is an alchemy also in karma. There is something about it that is very much like a remedial course in healing. The physical person, through wrong diet, through wrong exercise, through dissipation, gets sick, and the body becomes the instrument of the karma. The body is suffering for the mistakes of that which lives in the body. Now, if this can go on indefinitely, the individual can say, this is fate, it is inevitable that I shall have heart attacks, or that the kidneys will give out. And the individual can just go along until he dies of his complaints. Or he may decide that life is still worth living and that he'd better do something about his mistakes. If, therefore, he sets to work to correct the mistakes that are destroying him, the mistakes he has corrected cannot destroy him, because they have ceased to exist. Therefore, most karma ceases to function when the reason for it is exhausted. If the person has learned the lesson, he does not face it twice. If he has done what he should have done anywhere along the line and had faced it, the issue would be dead. But as a matter of fact, very few people, as you will know if you look around, really face into their own mistakes. The first thing they try to do is to blame the mistake on something else. At the moment, our greatest scapegoat for mistake is either politics or economics. We blame these for all of our troubles. Well, the only reason why we have these troubles is because they are part of our acceptances in life. The individual does not want to make bad karma, but he wants to make the last dime he can on any job that he has. He does not really prevent the ulterior motives which begin to produce karma. An ulterior motive is a magnificent cause for karma, and it will move in with all intensity, not because he doesn't like us, not because God is mad at us, not because the devil wants to claim us as his own, but simply because we have failed to correct a common mistake which our own conscience and character should have told us about. Therefore, conscience is something inside the individual that is forever warning against mistakes, warning against compromises of one kind or another. Now, conscience, of course, functions best in a convivial attitude. The individual's conscience works best in a society in which consciousness is strong. Whereas now, where consciousness is not very strong, conscience does not work very well. The individual has to stand against the mistakes by a personal action of his own will. Now, when we get all mixed up in this kind of an involved economic structure as we are today, it seems almost inevitable that individuals will develop wrong attitudes toward life. They will become desperate, they will become frightened, they will develop hates, there will be terrorism, massacre, civil war, mutiny, and everything you can think of. But these things are not due to the punishments of heaven. They are due to the unfinished business of our own. They are due to the fact that we have not set up in ourselves the cures for the ailments that are closing in on us. We are not making the basic changes that would result in a new level of effects. We are keeping on the old causes, hoping to force or bluff or fight our way through. We are here doing exactly what has made the mistakes of the past, and we are doing it with the desperate determination to get by in a happy way while doing the things that must make us unhappy. So this type of thing comes into karma. Now, the other side of the coin is also worth remembering, that there is not anything that happens in life that is good that is lost. The idea that the deity has a book and writes all these good deeds in the book and adds it up for our advantage is not quite correct, but it's a good symbolism, but that's all. The book is in ourselves. The things we have done right become the basis of the growth and development and liberation of the human soul. The individual who has done what is right may have limitations, may have some suffering, because it is not possible to do what is right in a society that does not recognize right. But the individual is a passing motion in this society. He is born, he suffers, and he dies. But his character is his own and goes with him to eternity. Therefore, he may have to sacrifice some advantages here in order to ensure that he will be in better condition in the course of the future. This is why we look forward to a new age. A new age is one in which the entities of a previous generation who are supposed to have learned something begin to come back into incarnation. And coming back, bring with them the new growth they have made, the new understanding they have achieved, and the new longings for a better way of life. And each individual returning with a little more integrity brings about a civilization with greater integrity. It all adds up to progress. Now, in daily contact, we have another peculiar habit, and I notice this a great deal from people who come to me for one reason or another. Mistakes which cause suffering. The suffering is keenly remembered, but things that go well are not noted. The individual seems to take it for granted that his rewards should always be good and therefore nothing unusual. But the rewards that are not good are painful, and these are very unusual. So the person has a tendency to overlook his blessings in favor of his misfortunes. I have talked to many people who have outlined at great length all the miseries they've gone through. But after some conditioning, we discover they had some pretty good things happen to them, which they did not even remember. Once the mind settles on misery, it is hard to move it. It wants to continue negative thinking. This caters to another problem in human nature, and that is self-pity. And if there is a creation that is sorry for itself, it is humanity. It's been sorry for itself from the first day. Therefore, the desire to be sorry for oneself sort of has a dignity about it. It has a maturity about it. The sufferer feels superior. He has had a greater and more dismal existence. He is subject to martyrdoms that have made him very important in his own sight. But he has not learned the important lesson of all, and that is that he must understand cause and effect. He must realize that the causes of the things that make him miserable are in himself, not in society. And the causes of the nice things, which he will not admit, these causes are also in himself and pass unnoticed. So it is very important for people to realize that karma, or consequence, is not merely punishment. It is the individual achieving that which he deserves. And the more constructive his deserving may become, the greater his good cause and effect will function. So we think very definitely of the importance of building positive patterns of conduct, that we are not here to estimate the punishments that we are going to receive, We're here rather to so live that these punishments fade out. On the basis of the problems we are confronted with in society today, we can look at the world as it is. We can look at the different attitudes that ruled conduct. And I think most people will realize that the world at this time is not governed by the best possible attitudes. It is governed by selfishness. It is governed by ambitions that are false or excessive. It is developing around a financial center that is unendurable. And it is also exploiting and destroying the natural resources. All these things are happening. Every newspaper has articles on them. Every individual knows something about these matters. But he continues to ignore them, either believing there is nothing he can do about them, or that he is too busy doing other things that he prefers to do. But the great working of karma, which sometimes brings a human being to the edge of chaos, is bringing the collective humanity of which we are a part also to the brink of chaos. As St. Augustine pointed out long ago, in the days of the ante-Nicene Fathers, the human being has certain privileges of energy. There are things he can do and things he cannot do. One of the things he can do is improve himself. One of the things he cannot do successfully is to dominate other people. The moment he begins to dominate other people, he creates a reaction. And on the level of religion, wherever religions go out to proselyte and determine by force or otherwise to conquer masses of human beings, these religions themselves are in grave trouble and ultimately come to an inglorious end. Everything that is wrong ultimately fails. There is no way of escaping this inevitable fact. Now, in ourselves, within our own natures, we have a certain type of consciousness, insight, understanding, or whatever you want to call it, by means of which we intuitively recognize values that we do not wish to consciously acknowledge. We call this conscience, but it is more than that. It is the subconscious set within ourselves by which we participate in the universal plan of things. Way down deep in ourselves, we know the rules. But by the time we have filtered this knowledge through emotion, thought, and action, it has lost the name of significance in many cases. But down inside of each individual, the law of cause and effect is in existence at all times. It is part of this over-self of Emerson. It is part of this divine part of man, which, while enclosed in body and encased in material concerns, is still alive and well. So we have to realize that when the voice inside of ourselves warns us, we should give very definite consideration to that warning. Now, the law of cause and effect, they say, can't be proved as far as the moral issues are concerned. But this is not strictly true either. The moral issues are provable, and the ethical life of the individual can be made scientific. Lord Bacon points this out in The Advancement of Learning, that if we want to know more about religion, we study science. If we want to know about science, we study philosophy. And if we want to know about religion, philosophy, and science, we study art. These are all interrelated factors, all of them subject to the laws of cause and effect. And everywhere we turn, the rules are the things we have to search for. For if we do not have the rules and the courage to abide them, our lives will be a series of conflicts and contradictions, with karma manifesting principally as discomfort. There's no reason why this has to be true, however, if we are able to handle the situations that we create. Now, there's another point that the Oriental philosophers have made, a little more clearly perhaps than we have here, and that is the individual is not responsible, personally, for that which is beyond his comprehension. That which he does not know and cannot find out, he is not responsible for. He is only